Have you ever wondered why, despite eating regularly and having no serious medical conditions, you still often feel tired, lightheaded, numb in your hands or feet, or dizzy when standing up? Those brief moments of fatigue, mild headaches, or the feeling that your body is a beat behind may seem minor, but in some cases, they could be early warning signs, your body's gentle way of alerting you to a risk of stroke. Stroke often sounds like something sudden and dramatic, but in reality, it's not just an accident that happens out of nowhere. It's a consequence, the result of small daily choices, repeated over months and years, often without us even realizing. It's the mornings we skip breakfast because eating less feels lighter. It's the extra dash of fish sauce we add because the food tastes a little bland. It's the crispy fried dishes we enjoy just because they taste good. It's the afternoons spent sitting too long with nothing to do. And it's the days we forget to drink enough water because we didn't feel thirsty. Each of those tiny, familiar actions, when repeated over time, quietly brings us closer to stroke. And then, in just one moment of carelessness, everything can change forever. The saddest part is that many older adults only realize this too late, when they have collapsed, when their speech is no longer clear, or when one side of their body no longer listens to them. But the good news is, there's still time to change. In today's video, we'll take a closer look at 6 common types of food items you probably eat regularly, but which, when used the wrong way or in excess, can quietly increase your risk of stroke. We'll explore why these foods are dangerous, how to spot them in your everyday meals, and most importantly, simple, gentle solutions you can start applying right now so you can protect your health, your independence, and your clear mind. If you've seen yourself in any of the habits above, then this video is for you. Not to blame, not to scare, but to gently remind you you still have the power to choose and the time to live healthier more fully each day. 1. High sodium foods, the silent killer hiding in your daily meals. Over the years of speaking with older adults, I've noticed something quite interesting. Our taste buds change as we age. Many seniors often tell me that food just doesn't taste as flavorful anymore, that they have to add more seasoning to enjoy it. So every meal becomes just a little more fish sauce for flavor, a dash of salt to bring out the taste, and a tendency to make dishes saltier just to feel that something's there. At first glance, that doesn't sound like a problem, but those just a little more moments, repeated day after day, have a quiet cost. Salt. An essential seasoning can slowly turn into a silent threat to your heart and blood vessels. When we consume too much salt, the body retains extra water to help dilute the sodium in the bloodstream. This extra fluid increases the pressure inside the blood vessels, much like overinflating an old garden hose. Over time, this pressure causes the vessel walls to weaken, harden, and become prone to rupture. And when that rupture or blockage happens in the brain, a stroke occurs. What's even more concerning is this. Many people think salty food is the only source of sodium, but in reality, salt hides in many everyday foods: instant noodles, soy sauce, pickles, braised fish, sausages, canned goods. Even if a dish doesn't taste too salty, the sodium content inside can be 2 to 3 times the safe limit. According to the American Heart Association, AHA, adults over 60 should consume no more than 1,500 milligauss of sodium per day. That's less than 1 teaspoon of salt. But surveys show that most older adults, especially in Asian diets, consume double or even triple that amount. Now, this doesn't mean you need to go on a strict salt-free diet or eliminate all flavors to avoid stroke. What truly matters is moderation, awareness, and mindful choices. Learn to read food labels. Learn to recognize where salt hides. And more importantly, allow your taste buds to slowly adjust to gentler, lighter flavors, not just to live longer, but to live clearer, lighter, and more peaceful each day. 2. Fried foods, when a crispy crust becomes a hidden trap for your blood vessels. There's no denying the appeal of golden, crispy fried chicken, a freshly fried spring roll, or a perfectly crisp meat patty just lifted from the pan. These are the flavors of our childhood, of family dinners, of joy during holidays and special gatherings. For many older adults, that crunch, that aroma, that familiar richness makes every meal feel satisfying and complete. But as with many things that bring pleasure, behind that golden crust lies a silent trap, especially for your blood vessels. Fried foods are often high in saturated fats, and especially trans fats that medical experts widely consider the #1 enemy of cardiovascular health. Once inside the body, these fats raise bad cholesterol, LDL, and lower good cholesterol, HDL. Over time, this imbalance causes arteries to harden, thicken, and narrow, making it harder for blood to flow smoothly. Eventually, when blood can no longer pass through freely, a stroke can strike suddenly, violently, and often without warning. A study published by Harvard Health found that eating fried foods 4 or more times a week can increase the risk of stroke by up to 28%. And if combined with a sedentary lifestyle, that risk becomes even greater. Now, no one is asking you to give up all flavor or live on bland food. But if we can cut back on excess oil, choose healthier cooking methods, and be a bit more mindful, we can still enjoy delicious meals without sacrificing our brain health or our independence. A little crunch on the tongue should never be traded for months or years spent in a hospital bed, relying on others to care for us. Because every time you choose what to eat, you're also choosing the future of your own health. So choose joy, but choose wisely. Choose meals that make you happy today and keep you strong tomorrow. 3. Processed meats. Tasty and convenient, but quietly poisoning your arteries. In today's busy world, especially when children and grandchildren are away working, it's understandable that many older adults turn to quick, convenient, and easy-to-store options like sausages, deli meats, canned meats, or preserved sausages. They smell good, they're easy to prepare, they keep well in the fridge, and sometimes it only takes a few minutes to have a full meal ready. But it's that very convenience that can cause us to forget an important truth. Processed meats are no longer just meat. They're a mixture of salt, preservatives, artificial colors, stabilizers, and other chemical additives, things that an aging body can no longer handle as easily as before. In particular, most processed meats contain compounds called nitrates or nitrites used to preserve the meat's color, extend shelf life, and enhance flavor. But research shows that when these chemicals enter the body, they can convert into harmful compounds that damage blood vessels, raise blood pressure, and speed up arterial hardening, 2 major risk factors for stroke. Not everything that's convenient is good. For older adults, what's most valuable isn't saving a few minutes in the kitchen, it's protecting your health for years to come. Those neatly packaged meats at the supermarket, so clean, so fragrant, so well sealed, may quietly place daily strain on your arteries if you're not watching their sodium and nitrate levels. So instead, choose fresh meats, cook them simply, and use minimal salt. And if you must use packaged foods, take a moment to read the label carefully. Look for options labeled low sodium or no added nitrates. Because every piece of meat you choose today is helping to decide whether your mind will stay sharp and your steps steady in the years ahead. 4. Sugar. A sweet comfort that quietly threatens the heart and brain. Sugar has a way of making us feel good, a sweet cup of tea in the afternoon, a soft piece of cake that melts on the tongue, or a refreshing drink after a meal. For older adults whose sense of taste may no longer be as sharp, sweetness often feels even more satisfying, making food taste better, bringing a sense of comfort. But what many don't realize is this: that gentle sweetness can be one of the biggest contributors to stroke risk. As we age, our bodies process sugar more slowly and less efficiently. When we consume too much sugar, especially refined sugar found in candies, sweetened drinks, milk teas, and packaged fruit juices, our blood sugar levels spike suddenly. This puts pressure on the blood vessels, forces the heart to work harder, and increases chronic inflammation inside the arteries. Over time, that inflammation weakens the vessel walls, making them more fragile and more likely to develop clots. And when one of those clots travels to the brain, a stroke can happen in just minutes. But that's not all. Sugar is also a leading cause of belly fat, visceral fat, and type 2 diabetes, and all three of these are well-known companions of stroke. Sugar isn't evil, but when it's consumed too often and in excess, it can silently damage the very systems that keep our brains and hearts alive. Let your sweetness come from kindness, from ripe fruits, and from mindful choices, not from soda bottles and processed snack packs. Because sometimes, a cup of tea that's just a little too sweet could be what quietly brings us one step closer to a stroke without us even noticing. 5. Alcohol. A small sip for joy, but it could cost you your memory and your life. For generations, alcohol, whether in the form of wine, liquor, or beer, has been a part of cultural tradition. It's something to offer guests, to celebrate special moments, to toast at gatherings. For many older adults, a small drink once a week, or a light beer on the weekend, feels harmless, just a little fun, nothing more. But in the later years of life, when the body no longer processes toxins as efficiently, even small amounts of alcohol can quietly become a burden on the brain and heart. Alcohol can cause irregular heart rhythms, raise blood pressure, and most importantly, weaken the walls of your blood vessels. When alcohol enters the bloodstream, it causes the vessels to expand rapidly and then contract again. Over time, this repeated stress erodes the elasticity of the vessels, making them more prone to cracking or breaking. And when a blood vessel in the brain leaks or bursts, a hemorrhagic stroke occurs, sudden, dangerous, and often harder to recover from than a blockage-type stroke. You may have heard stories of people who seemed perfectly healthy, drank alcohol regularly, and then suddenly suffered a stroke. That's no coincidence. Stroke often comes without warning. All it takes is one weakened vessel slowly worn down over the years by just one harmless drink at a time. If you don't drink, I encourage you to keep it that way. And if you still do, even just a little, ask yourself honestly, is my heart still strong enough to handle it? There are many other ways to relax, sleep better, and enjoy a peaceful afternoon without turning to alcohol. A warm cup of chamomile tea, a gentle song, a short walk around the yard, or simply the sound of grandchildren laughing, these too can calm the soul. Because in the end, we drink to feel joy, not to shorten the precious time we have to live well and be present with our loved ones. 6. Healthy looking. Foods. When misunderstanding leads us to eat and still get sick. In recent years, as people have become more health conscious, the market has been flooded with new types of food cleverly labeled as good for seniors, low fat, non-fat, or fortified with vitamins. On the outside, they seem very wholesome, beautiful packaging, clear ingredient lists, often found in the healthy aisles of modern grocery stores. But what's the truth behind those labels? Many of these so-called healthy products actually contain high levels of hidden sugars, sodium, or additives that older adults should not be consuming regularly. And because they're marketed as healthy, people tend to eat more of them without asking any questions. Take boxed fruit juice, for example. It sounds healthy, right? But most commercial juices are loaded with added sugar, artificial flavors, and have lost most of the natural fiber found in whole fruit. Drinking them causes a rapid spike in blood sugar, which can strain the heart and blood vessels. Or consider breakfast cereals. Some brands claim to be high in fiber or senior-friendly, but in reality, they're packed with refined starches and sugars, offering little real nutrition and causing blood sugar to rise sharply after eating. Another common example, low-fat foods. At first, they sound like a great idea, but when manufacturers remove fat, they often add sugar, starches, or artificial additives to keep the food tasty. As a result, you may be avoiding fat, but consuming something even worse for your blood vessels. Not everything labeled healthy is actually good for you, especially not for older adults. Because at this stage of life, our bodies need gentle, wholesome, easy-to-digest foods not overly processed, overly packaged items that sound good but lack substance. So, when shopping, build a simple habit. Read the ingredient list carefully. If you see too many unfamiliar names, too many additives, or high amounts of sugar or salt, it's probably not the right choice. And whenever possible, choose fresh ingredients, cook at home, and minimize processing so every meal can nourish not just your body, but your peace of mind. Eating well doesn't mean eating fancy. It means eating with understanding, awareness, and the wisdom to stay sharp, strong, and steady. We've just explored 6 familiar food groups meals that may seem harmless, even healthy at first glance. But when used in the wrong way, in excess, or without full understanding, they can slowly move our bodies closer and closer to the risk of stroke bit by bit, day by day. None of us ever intend to harm ourselves. Most of the time, it's simply because we don't know better, or we're drawn in by enticing labels and habits we've followed for years, without thinking much about the consequences. But here's the good news. Every habit, no matter how long it's been part of our lives, can be changed if we begin with awareness and a bit of self-compassion. You don't need to change everything overnight. Just start with small steps, one at a time. Add a little less salt to your soup today. Swap that sweet pastry for a piece of fruit at breakfast. Skip the sausage this meal and choose steamed fresh meat instead. Choose a glass of plain water instead of bottled juice. Stand up and take a few steps after sitting too long. These small choices repeated daily can become a powerful shield, protecting your heart, your blood vessels, and your brain. Because in the end, the most precious thing isn't how long we live. It's how well we live, clear-minded, strong, and independent in the later years of life. If today's video made you pause, reflect, or recognize a habit of your own, please don't wait to make a change. It's never too late to choose better health. And if you found this video helpful, we'd be honored if you'd click like, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue creating simple, clear, and empowering health content for our senior community. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again in the next video, where every moment is filled with hope, wisdom, and strength for your golden years.